Hello everybody, welcome to Paris, welcome to episode number 71, and it is December 23rd, just 2 days before Christmas. I thought I would bring us back to the Place Vendôme, and I say back to because this is episode number 71, but I actually did this area previously in this series back in episode number 3, if you can believe it. So it's been quite a while, and I brought us back here, because I want to tell you a few extra things about this square that make it interesting historically, but also because of the visuals this time of year. It's really a nice time to be near the Place Vendôme and the streets that surround it. And so what we're looking at here, while I've got it in frame, I might as well tell you, this is the current sort of holiday season decoration of the Louis Vuitton store. This is obviously not the only Louis Vuitton store we've got in Paris. We've got them all over the place actually, but if you're not familiar, Place Vendôme, this way that we're going to explore with all of its Christmas ornamentation and illuminations, is a very chic, fancy part of town. If you're not familiar with Paris, just know that this is, you know, swanky. A lot of money here, a lot of jewelry stores and whatnot. So that's the Rue Saint-Honoré. You can see it's decorated with this wreath vibe. And then this is the Rue Castiglione with the Tuileries Gardens, which you probably can't see in the darkness, but that's the Tuileries Gardens there. And then if we look back down this way at the Rue Saint-Honoré, more luxury and more lights. And, you know, lots of fancy hotels, and hopefully I'll be able to give you a good glimpse of that. So let me cross the street before we get hit. So this is nice. This has been popping up on Instagram a lot, actually. Whatever this is, sort of a glowy, sparkly sun motif of Louis Vuitton, and it's an actual attachment to the facade. Those are all, looks like some kind of aluminum or metallic bars. So that's nice. Nice way to start our walk today. And now on to the actual Place Vendôme itself. Ooh, it already, look, let's just stop right there. It already looks fantabulous. That's a word I'm going to regret when I watch this replay. I'm going to send myself, Corey, why did you say fantabulous, you weirdo? Oh, I got someone taking a photo. I don't want to get in the way. Kelly Wells says, gorgeous. I agree, Kelly. That's why we're here, so. This is definitely one of the more sparkly areas at Christmas time. Place Vendôme. This square is considered an absolute masterpiece of French classic architecture. Why don't I take you over this way? Manny Espinoza says, my favorite city in the world. I hear you, Manny. I'll hear that now that we're standing in traffic. Ah, lovely perspective. Okay. I was supposed to do this one this past Saturday. It got rained out, so I don't normally go live. Let's see how many of you are there. 154 of you live, avoiding your work in the office or taking time off from your busy holiday preparations. I appreciate that. So we're just going to walk the perimeter. Hey, Jennifer Robinson in Silicon Valley. Leslie Albert says, all the white lights are so much more elegant than the usual multicolored displays in the US. Yeah, when I was young, I loved the multicolored displays. But now I do appreciate something that's a little more intentional maybe. And here it makes sense because it's almost, these trees are almost like jewelry in their own right. Speaking of which, this is the Dior shop. And we'll just do a little bit of window licking, as they say in French. I know with the harsh light it might not be the best image ever, but it gives you an idea of how they set these up. Super bright in there. This is cute though, right? With the little, oh, they've got like a little mini chandelier. How much is the chandelier? That's what I want to know. I'm pretty sure I couldn't afford the full-size version, so I'll just take that mini one. Barbara Lee says this is a wonderful part of Christmas. I was looking at some watch prices recently, just in this area earlier today, like Rolex and stuff. And of course, it just blew my mind, the prices. Alicia Grant says this is the best Monday morning. Hey, look at this, by the way. Every now and then in Place Vendôme, you've got these beautifully classical illuminated walkways, and they just beckon you forth. Let's see what's over here. All of a sudden it gets really quiet. Look at that. Ooh, look at this. Wow. Nice way to enter your residence. So basically right there, that tells you everything you need to know about the people who live around Place Vendôme, or who work here for that matter. And then this looks like it's a courtyard that opens up into a little bit more of a traditional apartment building. Oops, going to the gate, of course. But here we are, just the 150 of us tucked away, while the rest of the square is bustling. That's me. Merry Christmas, everyone. Check my hair real quick, as I do. Looks terrible, way too long, I need a haircut. Oh wow, Rhonda told Beeman, Beeman is Dreama's sister. Hi Dreama's sister. Dreama is a friend of mine, a friend of this whole project, and she is a fantastic painter, Dreama. So it's great to have her sister here. Hi, welcome. Joyeux Noël to Alicia Grant, thank you. Kelly Clarkson says, wait, who is that? Hold on, I gotta check. Kelly Carlson says, fantabulous and Dointon to the Gate all in one episode. I know, I brought my A game today, didn't I? Oh man, these compositions. Pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. Some sparkly Christmas trees. Pa-ra-pa-pum-pum. I am a tour guide, so the one reason I do these is to give you a little bit of history as we enjoy the visuals. That's part of the plan here. There used to be a palatial residence here called the Hôtel de Vendôme. And there was a very wealthy family by the name of Vendôme, and that was very common in this area. And then Louis XIV got a hold, he acquired this land, and the king's idea was that he would take this area of Paris, which at the time was a pretty classic medieval labyrinth of little alleyways and narrow streets, and he wanted to open it up. And so Louis XIV did that, and he sold plots of land to, of course, business moguls and financiers and ministers and folks with a lot of cash, and so they built their homes here and started the first version of Place Vendôme. It was called Place Louis le Grand, or Louis the Grand, named after the king, of course, and then later it was the Place des Conquêtes, or the Square of Conquests, to celebrate Louis XIV's victories. There is still today a square called Place des Victoires. Some of you may be familiar with it, and that is also in honor of the victories of the same king. So Square of the Conquests. They're probably restoring or repairing part of the building there, which is why we see the big advertisement, as you do. Let's get a little closer to the column. I'll take you over to the Ritz Hotel after. I rented a room for us at the Ritz just to up the ante on this episode. So we'll be finishing this out in the presidential suite at the Ritz. I thought you all deserved it. So let's talk about the column. That was a joke, by the way. I showed this way back, episode number 3, during the daytime. For those of you who have been die-hard followers, or if you've gone way back to the archives of this series, episode 3, we would have talked about this a little bit. And I wanted to tell you a couple of things about the column. There was not surprisingly, when Louis XIV created the square, he put a large equestrian statue of himself right in the center, and it was done by one of the sculptors of Versailles, of the Versailles Gardens. And then the French Revolution destroyed the column, of course, because it was a column, they destroyed the statue, because it was a statue of the king. And then Napoleon Bonaparte comes in and he erects a statue with himself on it. And then that statue was melted down, and then a new one was put up, and then the commune tore it down, and on and on and on. But it's just a classic case of every monument getting torn down and rebuilt according to the new regime. But the one that we've currently got here is a leftover of Napoleon celebrating his victories. They say he beat the Austrians, and that's what all of this is if we get a little bit closer. He beat the Austrians famously and melted down 1,200 of their cannons. And that is primarily what this column of Place Vendôme is made of, which was the ultimate, the ultimate screw you by Napoleon. Say, I'm going to not only defeat your army, but I'm going to melt down all your weaponry and create a monument to my victory. Let's go over to the Ritz. I'm going to jaywalk a little bit as I do. Back in that previous episode that I did here, I did mention some things about the Ritz, and so I'm going to be careful not to repeat myself because there's no point in that. But Hemingway, of course, was a very famous customer here, right? A very famous resident, so to speak. Spent a lot of time here with F. Scott Fitzgerald at the Ritz. But one thing I did come across that was interesting, apparently in 1928, Hemingway forgot a Louis Vuitton case, a briefcase with a bunch of papers in it. And almost 30 years later, it was found randomly. And someone said, oh, we got to return this to Hemingway, which they did. And thankfully they did, because in that case, Hemingway had writings about his life in Paris, and those writings would go on to make up a large part of his famous memoir, A Movable Feast, which is, if you're not familiar with it, whether or not you like Hemingway, definitely read that. It's a great account of his time in Paris. So my first question is, how did he afford a Louis Vuitton briefcase that he could even afford to lose? But anyway, that happened here. So for almost 30 years, those great writings of his life as an expat writer were lost and hidden away here until someone found them and thankfully returned the case. The Ritz Hotel, by the way, named after a guy, a Swiss hotel owner and hotel creator. His name was César Ritz, so it was the last name of a gentleman. He also created other big name hotels like the Savoy in London, etc. This is a cute little spot here. Let me show you. They set up this chalet, the Ritz Hotel itself, set up this little coffee stand, and I ate here earlier. In fact, they've got a killer menu, so it's really cute. You can see there's a chef with the tuck on his head, on the real deal. And so I want to show you what they're preparing in there, if it's not too dark. So the Christmas chalet, gingerbread slice, chocolate puff pastry, hazelnut puff pastry, apple strudel, which I had earlier. And was it worth €9? Maybe not quite, but hey, you're at Place Vendôme. And hot chocolate and coffee, and then you can actually buy products, marble cake and chocolate teddy bear for €30. Welcome to the first arrondissement, everybody. And then you can get, let me see, jams and teas and things that are all Ritz related. That's the strudel that I ate earlier. I don't know if you can make that out. A bunch of goodness inside. It was nice and crispy and flaky and yummy. So this is not here every year as far as I can remember. So that's a nice little addition. Thank you to the Ritz. I will gladly donate €9 to you, Ritz Hotel. And they've got set up these little stand-up tables where you can enjoy it. I mean, these visuals are great. It's fantastic. Tammy Bohannon says this is a great live walk. Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate that. Even better with that composition there. One last story of Hemingway that I came across I want to share with you. This one probably file it away in the category of urban legend. But apparently when he found out his wife wanted to divorce him, Hemingway was in this hotel and he threw a photo of his wife into the toilet and then shot up the photo and the toilet itself with his pistol. So a lot of history there at the Ritz, and of course Lady Di and all of that sad story. But from the Place Vendôme, what I'd like to do, and welcome if you're just joining me, if you're new to this whole thing, my name's Frye. I'm a full-time tour guide and vlogger in Paris, and so if you want to tour the city with me or just vicariously walk through the city, go and look back on YouTube. YouTube's got a lot of my previous replays. So this is called the Rue de la Paix, the Street of Peace. At the other end of it is the Opera House, which I think I'll be able to show you a glimpse of. It's just a building that's glorious at nighttime, all lit up like this. The Rue de la Paix, really, all you need to know about this street is on the French Monopoly board, the French version of Monopoly. You know where they usually have Boardwalk and Park Place, two most expensive real estates. This street is one of those. Those two last blue properties on the French Monopoly board are this street, the Rue de la Paix, and also, not surprisingly, the Champs-Élysées. Just right down here on the Rue des Capucines, we're not going to go over there, but I just want to point out an eatery. If you're in this area, sometimes it's not easy to get an affordable, decent meal because the prices are so jacked up. But here, right over there on the right-hand side, is called Le Petit Vendôme. So it's named after Place Vendôme, Le Petit Vendôme. Alain Ducasse, the award-winning French celebrity Michelin star chef, loves the duck confit there. So if you're a fan of duck confit, head over to Le Petit Vendôme. I know that Mark Zuckerberg, owner of Facebook, for whatever it's worth, ate lunch there as well when he was in Paris, and everybody was like, hey, is that Mark Zuckerberg? And they have really good sandwiches there as well. Let me spin around. I don't know if it's going to be light enough for you to see this. Yeah, I think it's good. You know our Space Invader street artist. If you look carefully there, he's got his classic motif of the alien, but also a watch. Probably like a Rolex motif there, so that's very fitting. And the Rue des Capucines. And onward. Peggy Baker says Hotel Monsard right on the left. Oh yeah, Peggy, you said you stay at the Monsard. Is that it right there? Is that your hotel, Peggy? Peggy is our resident real estate expert, and she really knows hotels. So you can let me know, Peggy, if that's the one that you were talking about. You asked me, I know for... Oh no, it's right here. Sorry, Peggy. That's Peggy's hotel, the Monsard. There you go, Peggy. We did it. We slipped it into the episode. I don't know which room is yours. Somewhere around here, I'm assuming, but well done. Thanks for reminding me, Peg. Let's cross. Here we get into the big time jewelry and watch shops, but I wanted to point this out. So it's small but nice. The little clock tucked away there. What a great vibe here. It's not super busy. I think if I had done this as planned on Saturday, it would have been like the Galerie Lafayette episode. I would have just been fighting for space. But here on a Monday night, even though it's 2 days before Christmas, I think we can breathe. We're doing all right. Some window shopping. It's another little courtyard alleyway beckoning us forth. Really nice. Love it. Kelly Wells says Paris, the city of Christmas lights. Yeah, look at that. Nice. More stuff that I cannot afford. Again, I apologize if some things are overexposed here. Here we go. I just want to give you an idea for the vibe for those who can't be here. That over there, that illuminated building, the facade we see is Cartier watches. Speaking of, oh, these are the prices I was looking at earlier. Hold your breath, everybody. So this one we're looking at is, well, the first one's 9,400, so that's reasonable. But that one in the center of the screen is over 20 grand, 20,400. This one here, let me get my finger in there. That one there, I'm gonna read you the price, says 34 grand. This one's gets its own special box, so they don't even give you the price. They're like, don't even think about it. And then it goes on and on.
कितना गलत किया हुआ है
Really pleasant stroll, I must say. It just feels right, you know? Christmas feels like Christmas when you're walking around here. Look at that. My goodness. It's almost worth getting hit by traffic for, I tell you. Oh. It's not a live episode unless I get honked at. Or I doink my camera off of something. So yeah, Cartier, if you're interested, let's just take a quick look at what's going on there. Unfortunately blown out again, the exposure, but you get an idea. We're gonna do something probably not very appreciated, but it's an idea. Those are the parts that we're not allowed into. Look at this, we've got a, oh, sorry for that. We've got a hotel called the Hotel Westminster, and there's a great scallop-shaped awning. Wait for people to pass here and back up for you. Look at that. Christine Surrett makes a great comment. She says someone will rush in there on the 24th, on Christmas Eve, and just buy up one of those watches as a quick gift. Christine, if that's your very veiled way of asking me for something in there, you know, you don't have to be so obtuse about it. You can just ask me directly, and you know, I might consider it for you. Sparkly, sparkly. Ooh, we got a pen here. Oh, doink. Anyway, sorry, I clearly don't have the equipment to be able to show you what's in the windows. Terry McGilvray says, Cartier for everyone. There's some kind of nice entrance that appears to be mostly residential, I guess. Never been back here. It doesn't look very illuminated, but it's not a shabby little staircase to make your way home. I do want to show you a place right over here. We're almost to the Opera House, which I think is going to be a nice grand finale. So there's a building here on my left, right at the end of the Rue de la Paix, from 1908. And from the signage, I can see that there are a lot of like investment banking offices and airline offices and things like that. Maybe a bit of real estate, but look at this. These are portraits of classical composers. So I do recognize a fair amount. That's Bach on the left, Beethoven and Mozart here. And as you can see, mirrors with moldings. It's just stunning. These places are like museum level beauty, but they're just part of the everyday life of the people who live and work here. What a nice way to spend our Christmas episode of this series. And let me see, we're going to push the envelope just a little bit and see if this lady will be kind. Bonsoir. Ça vous dérange pas si je filme 2 secondes le plafond? Si je reste ici, si je filme? Vous n'étiez pas là avant? Comment? Vous étiez là avant? Oui, mais pour prendre des photos. Ok, donc j'ai pas le droit de filmer alors? Non? Ok, bah bonne soirée. Too bad. The good thing is, I took photos in there that I'm going to share with my followers, my Patreon supporters, the Frites. So I'll be sharing photos of that interior a little bit later on. She didn't want us to film tonight, which is fine. Here we're coming upon the Opera House, which is actually only partially lit, but I think it's still going to look good on camera. And then we'll finish up our walk. I think that's a pretty valuable lesson what just happened actually. I just went in there, I asked her, can I film? She's like, not really. And I was like, all right, have a good night. Take it easy. And no harm, no foul, it's fine. She's forgotten about me already. And I don't have to feel guilty, but it's always worth taking a shot because you never know what you're going to discover on the off chance when they do say yes. And they do absolutely say yes sometimes. Just depends on their mood. So let's finish with that. This is the Opera Garnier, if you're not familiar with it. We're at the Place de l'Opéra. And we're not going to finish there. We're going to wrap around for a moment because I don't want to forget to show you the view back toward Place Vendôme where we began. Oh, yeah. David Dubois is calling that lady a Grinch. Don't worry, David. She previously let me in to take photos. That's maybe why she was like, well, you already took photos, so maybe you shouldn't come and film also. So maybe I was a little bit too annoying, but that's all right. It's all good. I have those photos, and I'm going to share them with the Frites, with my Patreon supporters. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, don't hesitate to click the link in the description of this replay. What's this, by the way? Do you see this? There's like some kind of jar attached to this. I wonder what's going on there. What is meant to be in the jar? I have no idea. I don't even know what that thing is. Maybe something to monitor pollution or something. So I think we're going to finish this episode, folks. Unfortunately, I can't do any sort of tour extension tonight or a cafe chat as usual because it's time to get home to my daughters and help my wife out with that and get prepared for Christmas. So I think this is a fine way to end episode number 71. I want to thank you for joining me on, for a lot of you, it's basically midday on Monday. So thanks a lot for coming along, and I won't draw this out any longer. Those of you who celebrate Christmas, I want you to have an absolutely fantastic one, and hopefully this helped you spend a little bit of your Christmas season in Paris, which is always the ultimate goal here. If you can't bring yourself to Paris, I'm going to bring it to you, and stay tuned for episode number 72 and more honking cars and more Paris life and all of that good stuff. and my camera is doing something funky here. So thanks everybody, take care, and I will catch you on the next one. All the best. And Merry Christmas!